its peak, Valyria was arguably the most magnificent city to have ever existed. A true beacon of civilization, within its grand walls resided the Dragon Lords, the most powerful families in history, who constantly vied for dominance and influence. Among these families, the Targaryens were far from the most influential, often regarded as one of the weakest. Their move from Valyria to Dragonstone was seen by many as an act of cowardice, and they were mocked incessantly. One reason for this derision was a prophetic dream by Rhaenys Targaryen, known as Rhaenys the Dreamer. She foresaw the catastrophic destruction of Valyria and convinced her father, Lord Aegon Targaryen, to relocate their family to Dragonstone. The other Dragon Lords scorned them for acting on what they considered a fanciful dream. However, this ridicule did not spare the others when Valyria was obliterated by the eruption of the 14 Flames. Aegon Targaryen was born a century after the doom of Valyria, around 27 BC, to Lord Aegon Targaryen and Lady Valyna Velaryon. He had two sisters, Visenya, the elder, and Rhaenys, the younger. Following Valyrian tradition, Aegon married Visenya, but uniquely he also wed Rhaenys. Contrary to popular belief, Aegon had set foot in Westeros before his famed conquest. In his youth, he and his sisters visited the citadel of Old Town and were guests of the red wines of the Arbor. There are claims they even traveled to Lannisport in the Westerlands. Aegon's fascination with Westeros led him to commission a large wooden table, intricately carved and painted, to depict the entirety of the continent, including its forests, rivers, cities, towns, and castles. During this period, Westeros was divided into 7 contentious kingdoms. The north, a vast and frigid land, was ruled by the Starks of Winterfell. The Martells reigned over the Dornish deserts as princes and princesses. The wealthy Westerlands were under the control of the Lannisters of Casterly Rock. The fertile lands of the Reach belonged to the Gardener Kings of Highgarden. The Arryns of the Eyrie held dominion over the Vale, the Fingers, and the Mountains of the Moon. The Durandons ruled the Stormlands from Storm's End, while the Riverlands and the Iron Islands were dominated by House Hoare, seated in the formidable castle of Harrenhal. Harrenhal, known as Harren the Black, was notorious for his cruelty and feared by many. In stark contrast, King Argilac of Storm's End, known as Argilac the Arrogant, faced significant threats. His lands were continually encroached upon by the Reach and Dawn, and he was pressured by Harren the Black. As an aging warrior whose battle prowess was waning, and with only a maiden daughter as his heir, Argilac reached out to the Targaryens of Dragonstone. He offered Aegon his daughter's hand in marriage and the land seized by Harren the Black. Aegon rejected the offer, noting that he already had 2 wives and did not require a third. Additionally, the lands Argilac offered were not rightfully his to give. Argilac had hoped to use the Targaryens as a buffer against Harren the Black, but Aegon saw through this ploy and responded differently. Aegon proposed a counteroffer. He would accept the lands offered by Argilac and more if Argilac would give his daughter's hand to Orys Baratheon, Aegon's childhood friend and rumored half-brother. This suggestion offended Argilac, who refused to dishonor his daughter by marrying her to a bastard. Enraged, Argilac cut off the hands of Aegon's envoy and sent them back to Dragonstone with a message: "These are the only hands you shall have of me." Aegon made no reply. Instead, he called a council of his friends and bannermen at Dragonstone. The assembly was small, including a few Valyrian houses loyal to House Targaryen, such as House Velaryon of Driftmark and the Celtigars of Claw Isle, along with some minor houses. Aegon and his sisters conferred with them, and on the 7th day, a flurry of ravens was sent from the towers of Dragonstone, carrying Aegon's message to every corner of Westeros. The message was clear: from this day forth, there would be but one king in Westeros. Those who bent the knee to Aegon of House Targaryen would keep their lands and titles, while those who took up arms against him would be brought down, humbled, and destroyed. Thus began the Wars of Conquest,